While the Chicago Bulls have done a lot to make their roster younger and hopefully a play style that's quicker and gets more out in transition, there are two areas in which the Chicago Bulls could lack severely next season that could impact them. I'm going to talk about those two things and why they have me so concerned about this new look Chicago Bulls team. All that plus the mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Terry Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. So, as I said in the intro, there are two areas of this new Chicago Bulls team which have me kind of concerned on how it's going to affect their overall play and ability to win games next season. And those two things are three-point shooting and defense. And we're going to break that down, right? I want to get into the weeds of that. Let's start off with the defensive side of the ball, right? The Bulls lost Andre Drummond. They lost Alex Caruso, two of their better defenders, especially Alex Caruso with his versatility defensively. And the Bulls already, who were 17th in points allowed last season and slipped quite a bit in defensive rating after being kind of around the top 10, top 12 in defense the 2 years prior, the Bulls have already been a team that looked like they were starting to take a slide defensively. Now, last season, it came with missing Alex Caruso for some games. It came with missing Patrick Williams for a big part of the season. And so when you look at it, the defense of the Chicago Bulls, you come down to the kind of the best defenders that we're looking at on the team: Ayo and Coby, Patrick Williams, Julian Phillips, Dalen Terry, Torrey Craig, right? Nikola Vucevic, negative defender. Zach LaVine can be an active defender, right? More worse off ball than on ball, but still has his defensive concerns and limitations. Josh Giddey has some really big defensive concerns and limitations as well. Kobe's an active defender, and Kobe's one of those players that are on the verge of me looking at him and saying that he could be a really solid team defender, if nothing else, right? Want to see how he grows this season, but you're really looking at those players being key defensively. And even Jalen Smith is not a good on-ball defender. He's a better weak side defender, off-ball defender. He does block some shots. He's a solid enough rim protector, but at least on ball. We're talking about on ball, defending your man, center in the paint. Jalen Smith isn't the greatest at that, right? I wouldn't say he's a negative. He's not nearly as bad as like Vooch is at times, even though Vooch can be a solid on-ball defender as well. Is that defense is a big concern, and mainly because of the slide that we already saw. Now, I've mentioned health. Ayo and Coby's ready to step up into a much larger role defensively as well. He's going to be a key for that. And then you're looking at other players like how does Modest Buzelis come in, and how does he play defensively in his rookie year? Already seen it in summer league, how he can get steals, how he can get the weak side and chase down blocks. But on ball could be a bit rough for Buzelis in his rookie year as he's trying to put on that NBA weight, right? There's that. You also have the wild cards and like a Chris Duarte. What does he end up bringing for the Chicago Bulls? Can he make a name for himself defensively, energy-wise? And if he can do that, how does that help the team? So overall, you're looking at those things right away for the Bulls is defensively being a limitation there. But then you also add in the three-point shooting, right? The Bulls last season were fourth lowest in three-pointers made at only 11.5 per game. They were 11th lowest in three-point shooting percentage, but then that's paired with what they gave up defensively three-point-wise. They gave up the second most three-pointers made per game at 14.6 and the 20th highest field goal shooting percentage at 3-point shooting percentage at almost 37%. They allowed teams to shoot. And if you watch the game, you know that sometimes in the fourth quarter, we gave up, it felt like 80% three-point shooting. So it's those two things combined, right? And much like we said with the Bulls team last year, it wasn't just the fact that they weren't a great three-point shooting team or a volume three-point shooting team. A lot of that also came down to the fact that the math, because they gave up so many threes. And so those are two areas where, again, I'm not saying for sure that the Bulls are just going to be horrible at that, right? We'll see what the team comes up with. And you know, to the credit, and like C-Dub pointed out last night on the Summer League live stream after we got done with the game, the post-game show there, is that he pointed out Ayo and Coby above 40% last season, right? Coby White, I think right at 39%, if I'm not mistaken, shooting 37%, so almost 38%, 37.6% three-point shooting was Coby White last year. So you're looking at the growth from those guys. You're adding in Patrick Williams, who, while not a volume three-point shooter, is another guy who shoots the ball almost 40% from three, right? If Buzelis can be solid, right, you're still looking at what is Julian Phillips, who's shooting the three ball a lot better than what he did. In his rookie year. It looks like in summer league, can he be a solid three-point shooter for you? And then you're getting Zach LaVine back, right? Zach LaVine is going to still be on this roster next season, at least to start. It seems like he's a career 38% shooter, even though he only shot the ball 35% from three last season, but a career 38% shooter, right? So you like to think that Zach LaVine is going to be able to be a solid three-point shooter for you as well. It depends on how Billy Donovan runs him off screens, things like that. So there are some signs that maybe the Bulls are a better three-point shooting team than what it looks like they're going to be on paper. Jalen Smith, another player, last year, 42% from three, only taking 2.5 three-pointers per game, which means he hit about 1 three-pointer per game last season. But again, another shooter who's showing you at least an ability to shoot it decently, right? And so I say this sometimes over on Chicago Bears Central with the offensive line and the center play specifically. I said that with the Bears center play being so in the trash the last few seasons, just getting back up to competency will make a big difference for the team next season. And much like that with the Chicago Bulls. If the Chicago Bulls have been so bad, so at the bottom of the barrel, three-point attempts, three-point makes, three-point percentages, that if they can get to the point of being competent, right, and consistent, competent and consistent three-point shooting wise, it could do a lot for this team, especially looking at how this team is going to rebound well, right? And even in talking about some of the weaknesses, some of the things that this team should be really good at is rebounding. You have two really good rebounding guards in Coby White and Josh Giddey. You already know that Nikola Vucevic can get you a double-double. Patrick Williams has not been good rebounding-wise over his career, but hopefully that starts going trending in a different direction. Buzelis is a solid rebounder too, like in his minutes that he's going to play. And you hope that like Julian Phillips and Jalen Smith, they're going to be able to be solid rebounding-wise, right? So the Bulls are going to be that. They're going to attack the teeth of the defense. They got Josh Giddey, who is going to be a really good creator for them in the half court. So those things are going to go in the Bulls' favor. But in a league where three-point shooting has become a big difference maker, not for all. There are a lot of teams in the NBA that aren't really good three-point shooting teams that still end up finding a way to have an overall effective offense. But those teams are typically really good defensive teams on top of that. And that's why those two things combined are what caused me a little bit of concern for the Chicago Bulls, right? So even if the Bulls don't take the volume of three-point shooting, I would love to see them be a solid percentage-wise from the field, right, to be better than what they were last season. If those things happen, you're looking at a team that, like I said, it can be effective. And that's the most important thing in this, is that it can be effective. And how much does that defense pair with that three-point shooting cause some fits for the Chicago Bulls? That's the thing that we're looking at right now for this team. And so, hopefully the team can be better, man. Being as bad as what they were three-point shooting-wise and that slide defensively, it just should cause some concern for some fans. And we've seen the team overcome less, right? We've seen teams overcome it, play to their strengths, right? It depends on how much do their strengths outweigh their weaknesses next season. And that's something that we won't really know until we see them take the basketball court and see the balance in things that this team is going to strike with their players. So there's, it's just something that I overlooked that I wanted to see and talk about, is that right now, looking at this roster, those are my two biggest concerns. Health could be one as well, but that's, you can never control health, right? But looking at those two things is how much does that defensive slide stop? And then that three-point shooting, how much of it can you be respectable enough to where you're not having the math problems that the Bulls had in some games, to where they actually played pretty damn good offensively and pretty damn good defensively, but just the volume of three-pointers, right, that they gave up, they just weren't able to make up that gap because they just weren't solid enough shooting the ball from three-point range. And so we've seen players, like I've said before, Ayo Dosunmu stepped up tremendously for the Bulls when he was called on to do different roles. And in this team next season, you're asking now as a team, how well can you step up as a team defensively and three-point shooting wise? And I guess that remains to be seen. I guess we'll see ultimately what comes down with that. But, I hope that this team can play much better, right? I hope that these concerns that I have are concerns that we end up having to look at, and I could say it really wasn't that big of a deal. We're solid enough in those areas, but we'll see. The Bulls gave up 113 points per game last season. 113 points per game. And we've gotten worse defensively. So, that's a bit of concern. Of course, we're not the Wizards. They gave up almost 130. That's crazy that they averaged almost that. That's pretty damn wild, really, when you're looking at it. But the Bulls also, were a team that scored 112 points. So, that point differential was negative. But even with their slide defensively, they're able to kind of keep the margins close. That is why you saw the Bulls in so many clutch games last season. So I guess we'll see what the storyline is this year for the Bulls in defense and three-point shooting. But let me know how you guys feel about that down below. All right, let's get into the next topic. The next segment is the voice mailbag. It is Saturday, so that means it is mailbag day here at Chicago Bulls Central. The first voicemail that we got, this one's from 8 Lives.
What's up, Hayes? It's your boy 8 Lives, man. Man, first of all, I've been checking out your content on all the shows you done got, man. And, man, from the day I've been commenting on this show, man, you was making them Kobe takes when they wanted to trade him, man. You was a super blew up. I remember when I was saying stuff like, man, these people, the front office and the players be paying attention to your show, man. I believe they be looking at our comments. And it's like, at this point, you already know. If you get on the Bulls team, you probably have to go ahead to, hear the true feeling of the Bulls fans, man. So I just wanted to say, congratulations on that. But I just want to go on the record. I know I called in about 5 shows ago. Maybe 5, within 10 shows ago, I called in, taking my case for AK, saying I didn't blame him because the players got injured and, you said what you said. But, that was just my opinion and I'm sticking with it. And I just remember that day when them days when AK put that team together, man, Lonzo and all them boys right after the guard packs, and how we was all feeling all up about AK. And I know people want to blame him for what happened after the Lonzo ball, how he reacted. But I really feel like still to this day, he was just giving them boys a chance. And I just want to go on the record to say, man, watch how dude finna get out. I believe in him, bro. I kind of see what he got going on, the players he getting, bro. He be getting players that be, they be on the business, man, but it just be a different story sometimes when it comes to his vision, when it come on the court, when it comes to all them injuries, bro. And I just want to, state in the case that I'm still on record saying I'm riding with AK. And I don't blame him for what happened with the Bulls, bro. I blame the players. You know what I'm saying? Not all of them did bad, but just the things that happened when it came to injuries and people just not playing up to their potential, man, bro. I think AK finna put a decent-ass team together, bro. Mark my words. You already know what it is. Steve Red, my boy. Good luck to all of us when it comes to this season, but I think we finna be seeing some fun basketball, bro, for sure. And I know I heard you say that, too. But I believe in AK, man, for sure. Steve Red.
Hey, first of all, bro, thank you. I appreciate everyone enjoying the content, and that's what I do this for, because I love talking about my Chicago Bulls. And anybody who's along for the ride enjoys the conversation and wants to be a part of it. I enjoy having that. I enjoy this community that we've built, and you've been a part of it damn near since the beginning. But as far as your questions, right, I understand your view as far as you not necessarily blaming AK for the players not working out. My personal view on it is that when you're the architect, when you're the one that puts it together, you're responsible for it. And that is leadership. You're responsible for the ship that you are guiding. And AK is responsible for this team that he built and the results of it. That's just the way I view it. We can say, oh, well, he didn't plan on somebody getting hurt. He didn't plan on somebody not working out. He thought somebody was going to be a good signing. But it still goes down to, well, that decision ended up being wrong. And yeah, it goes on the players. That doesn't abstain the players from their personal responsibility in not playing well and things like that. But ultimately, I just look at it as somebody who's leading and as somebody who's guiding and creating this. When the foundation comes apart, you're also to blame for that. But I will say this: I agree with you. I like what he tried to do initially, right, in bringing this team together. I also like how he's been building this so far. Once I started seeing, and looking more into Josh Giddey and seeing the modest Buzelis signing and things like that, all those things led to a point where I'm cool with the direction. I like a lot of these pieces. It's how it comes together and how he makes the subsequent moves and decisions to make this thing make more sense and to be a viable, successful team. And we'll see what brings in. Like I've said, this was my last offseason of giving AK a chance, right, as far as kind of being over this front office. And for his credit, I've liked a lot of what he's done. So I like the new young direction. I like a lot of the new young pieces. I like the play style that I can see them playing. We just got to see how it's all going to come together. And Billy Donovan is a part of that as well. We got to see how Billy Donovan is going to coach now this young squad. And that's where it gets a little concerning in. But thank you for leaving that voicemail, 8 lives. Let's get into this next one. This one's from Jamal.
Hey, this is Jamal back again with another voicemail for you. 3 minutes, let's get into it. So, just kind of looking over here, seeing the Summer League and things like that. I haven't really been watching any of the games, honestly. It's funny, every time a game comes on, or it's scheduled to come on, I always be like, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch it, and then something ends up happening. Either I end up forgetting about it, or I get busy and distracted, and I'm not able to sit down and watch it. So all of my thoughts are really coming off of just highlights, pretty much, of what I'm seeing. And yeah, this Buzelis kid, he the truth. He got that dog in him, and I'm kind of enjoying what I'm seeing. The efficiency isn't there, but it's Summer League. I'm not expecting this to be an efficient, shooting player and everything at all. But what I do enjoy seeing, at least from the clips that I've seen of him, is his attitude and his way he approaches the game. He like, I want to say against the game against Detroit, he got interviewed, afterwards. So like, what was it like? You played against one of your former teammates and everything in college, and how was it, this, that, and the other? And I think because we've gotten into this era nowadays where it's kind of like, I don't want to call it a softer era because I don't want to disrespect the modern era, but it's kind of like that era where everybody is a lot more familiar with each other due to AA games and not AA games, but AU games and things like that. A lot of these players have been playing against each other since they were kids. So it's kind of refreshing to see his perspective on it or his take on it when he said, yeah, it was nice, but we're not friends right now. At the end of the day, we men now, we grown, we in the NBA, we got a job to do. And that friend stuff when we was teammates in school, but now that we in the NBA, I'm trying to go out there and murder him on this court, and that's something that is really refreshing to see because it's just that spirit of competition, especially being on, the Bulls, because it's like something that we need. I will say this, and I was talking to my dad about it, and it's interesting. My dad was like, he plays the way my dad wanted Patrick Williams to play. He has that aggression when it comes to, like, attacking the basket. Like, I'm a big dude. I'm attack the basket and just slam this down slam dunk this down, dunk hard. I'm catching bodies left and right. Like, my dad was like, that's how I wanted Patrick Williams to play. Attack the basket, stop being afraid, really go at these fools because nobody can really stop you because of how big you are. That's how, Buzelis plays, and I really enjoy that. So I'm looking forward to see what he really does moving forward into this upcoming season. So, as always, see where go Bulls. Peace.
Manas Buzelis has a very old school mentality, and it's one that I appreciate. I love the fact that you said it like he is friendly, like with Ron Holland and things like that for them being teammates, but they're not friends when it comes to that basketball court. To quote Kendrick Lamar, for example, I got love for you all, but I'm trying to murder you niggas. And that's really the mindset. Don't say the N-word, Modest, but that's how Manas Buzelis really, it seems like he takes that mindset on, how he welcomes the challenge. It's like, hey, I may have some love, except Zachary Risha. That man hates Zachary Risha, and I hope that we see a cook session when we do playoff against those guys. But ultimately, I think that that's something that is rare. We do have a buddy league right now, and that's cool, right? It's glad that everybody's friendly, but that killer instinct that, hey, I love you, I respect you, I love the way that you play the game of basketball. We both have this joint shared love of the game, but when you're in front of me on that basketball court, when you line up with me, I'm trying to murder you. And I'm trying to absolutely make you hate every minute that you're guarding me. And that is a mindset that Buzelis does have, and it's one that I love to see. I love that type of edge from players, and I do think that Manas Buzelis has that type of mindset that Bulls fans are going to love and enjoy. I am not going to be surprised if by halfway through this rookie season, Bulls fans are in love with Manas Buzelis, and I think that he's going to try to earn that respect for sure as well. All right, let's get into this next voicemail. This one's from Reginald.
Hey, this is Reginald from Columbus, Georgia. I got cut off earlier, but I just want to speak on the whole trade Coby White and Ayo thing. I just think a lot of fans are stuck in the whole guard pat thinking, where if you can't build a team around a guy, or if you can't convince a superstar to come to Chicago, to just tear it all down and trade any valuable players to another team just because. And what those fans want is to be in essentially constant rebuild mode where you're trading valuable players for picks. And I guess, I hope that one of them is Derrick Rose or something. But when it comes to a guy like Kobe, all I want him to do is be consistent. He's a guy who, if he ever gets consistent, he can be 18 to 20 points a night and play just solid defense. That's all I'm asking. I was one of those guys who wanted to trade Kobe 3 years ago because he was turning the ball over too much. He wasn't really playing any defense, and his shot was extremely inconsistent. But I saw the improvements he made, and I want him to be on this team. He could easily fit as at worst, a number 3. And you can, with the money you're eventually going to get from guys like Lonzo Ball, coming a free agent, the increase in the natural increase in salary, I don't want to say you can convince a superstar, but you can overpay for a star to come to Chicago. And as for Zach LaVine, I don't want to give up an asset to move off Zach LaVine. I know everybody say we don't have a choice. He'll be a distraction. But the problem with Zach LaVine isn't his play on the court. Yes, he does play hero ball sometimes, but when he does, it's usually because we need him to do that. But the real problem is Billy Donovan. The same problem that he had with Billy, we all had with him. And I think the Bulls should just wait until like December or January before moving off of him, because that's where his future lies. On another team competing for a championship where we're not going to be doing for like the next 2-3 years. But that's my opinion. What's your take? Thanks.
Listen, I'm glad that you admit it. Like the Bulls fans that want Kobe and Ayo move. I'm not saying that anybody should be untouchable in the right deal. I'm more so against the mindset and thought process that you move on from those guys just because they're not stars or you don't see them as stars, right? And so that's the mindset that I fight against. I don't understand that, because not every player that's going to work out for you, not every player that your team's going to pay is going to be a star, right? Guys know how I look at it. It's superstar stars and everybody else is role players. There's very few superstars and more stars, but not a whole hell of a lot of those either. The majority of the players that you see on NBA teams are role players. High level. Now there's hierarchy to role players, but they're role players. And so, regardless if you see Kobe's and Ayo ceiling as stars or not, they still are players that absolutely can contribute to every championship team. And Adrian, I think his name's Adrian Shake, like he said one time, like, oh, there's no way that you don't see any rosters with players like Ayo and Giddey on them that ends up winning championships. Like, no, I've seen rosters with way worse players in them that wins titles. It's about how you fill out the rest of the team. That's the key part in this. And we can't let it be done. See, where we got in trouble at towards the end of the Garpax era is that we had a team outside of Jimmy Butler full of a lot of role players that the front office tried to act like we're more. It's like you still need your star, but you don't just jettison off your young players on good contracts that are still playing well for you just because they're not stars. Now, again, like I said, the right deal comes across. You find like you're making your swing to get your star. Like I said, I'm throwing this out as an example. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. But if the Bulls, for example, had pick number 3 in next year's draft, let's say they get lucky, they get the lottery, they get pick number 3, and the team was willing to give up number 1, and it took Kobe White and our number 3 pick to get Cooper Flagg, I won't be mad at that. That's you taking advantage of the asset and the value in a player. You're taking your swing at somebody who can be your next star. But the nature of just saying, oh, we just need to trade Kobe for picks because he's not going to be a star, more because the higher chance than not, those players with those picks aren't going to be stars either. And we're right where we are now, unless you're talking about resetting the salary cap, which we're fine at because Kobe White's deal is not bad. That's the kind of thing that I talk about, and that's why I said that in that segment. Now, as far as Zach LaVine, the situation's a fluid one. I think that the Bulls would move Zach LaVine as soon as they get a deal that they feel is of the value that they're looking for, right? And I think that value has come down, but they aren't going to give up assets to move on from Zach LaVine. And that may lead to Zach LaVine maybe even being here for longer and past December. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's get into this last voicemail. This one is from Robert.
What's up, Hayes? This is Robert. I am very happy with the pick that we drafted. This kid is the deal. And I think they need to move on from Vooch and Zach, or maybe keep Zach and see what he he can do this year and then trade him and get, a couple good picks for him if his draft capital is up. But the front office is a joke. Everybody want to make fun of John Paxson and Garn Foreman. They made a couple deals. They weren't hesitant. You have a nice day, Hayes.
I think a lot of people are happy with Modest, right? The kid brings a lot, man, and you can see the raw potential there, and that's what it is. It's about the potential and him maxing out on that potential as much as he can max out on that potential. And there's a pretty damn good player in Modest Buzelis. What level he's going to end up being at, that remains to be seen, and we'll see. But he's a damn good player and a player that I think is going to be around and a fan favorite for a long time. Now, as far as the Bulls front office being hesitant, I mean, I don't think many people could deny that they have been hesitant, but let's not act like John Paxson, when he was by himself, is a very different thing than the Gar Pax era. The Gar Pax era, especially after the Derrick Rose thing, they were a very, very hesitant front office as well. But then when they did make their moves, they ended up biting them in their ass, like towards the end of that run. And so ultimately, like, I hope that, right? My hope is that we got the rough part first, and hopefully now the later half of this is going to be better. Because let's not act like Paxson and Gar didn't have their misses. They did. They had quite a bit of misses for this team. Paxson by himself, Tyrus Thomas was a miss, right? Especially when you traded the number 1 overall pick. You could have had LaMarcus Aldridge. James Johnson ended up being a miss for this team. Now, Taj ended up working out in that same draft, but James Johnson was a miss. Doug McDermott was a miss. Marquise Teague was a miss. A lot of things were misses. Signing the guy from Chicago, I forgot his name. Jabari was a miss. Jabari Parker was a miss. That was a bad signing. Dwayne Wade was a miss, right? So they had their misses as well. And I just hope that this front office has learned from their mistakes and we start getting into a place where they're making better decisions and actually building towards that young athletic future and building through the draft organically that they talked about that they wanted to do, that they end up moving off of to go through a quicker process to try to get a playoff team together. But that's my thoughts on that. You guys, as always, can let me know how you feel down below. Make sure you guys are leaving in voicemails, especially after today's last Summer League game. I want to hear how you guys felt on Buzelis' Summer League overall, some of the other players on the team. So please call in, leave those voicemails. But otherwise, you can follow the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. And that's also down below in the description of both the podcast and YouTube side. You can find the voicemail number down there as well. But like I like to end everything on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.